Oh, Breaker 19, Breaker 19, this here's the Gear Jamming Deer. Whitetail has got your front door, come on. I am back in GTA 5 to show off another mod. But this time, it's my mod. It is not this car. This was added with the most recent update, though I don't think it's actually available online yet. But obviously you can get it with a trainer. This was the generation of Impala before the one that I actually owned in real life. Okay. I can drive, I promise. So I'm actually going to be showing off two mods, technically, both of which I made. First up is this. So anyone watching this who has played the older 3D era GTA games might immediately recognize what this is meant to be. Ignore the name, it's not working quite properly. I have to figure out how to do that. It'll be added in the later update of this mod. This is a Linerunner. This was basically just the semi-truck from the older GTA games. And I've never really talked to anybody about this, but personally, I think it most closely resembles either a Kenworth W900 or a Freightliner FLD Classic. The one that doesn't have the build, the one-piece cabin sleeper. This is the original Linerunner from the 3D game, from the 3D games. The reason I went with making this one more reminiscent of a W900 is because in GTA 3, the Linerunner looked to be pretty obviously based on a Kenworth T600. And then, in all the other 3D GTA games, it was basically the same truck, but with a straight hood. So, a T600 with a straight hood is W900. But setting that connection aside, it probably does slightly more closely resemble a Freightliner. But, I also like Kenworths better anyway, so of course I'm going to make it a Kenworth. So this truck here is based... Oh, I don't know if you'd say it's based more on the Biff or the Packer. It's the Packer's frame, and the sleeper is a modified version of the Packer's sleeper. But, the cabin hood came from the Biff, and obviously I straightened the hood. So... But yeah, so this is the Linerunner. Oops. Wrong combination of buttons, hold on. I didn't do a lot of, well, really any customizations. Like, it doesn't have any extras or anything. I basically wanted it to fit in with the other vehicles in the base, or with the other semis in the base game, rather. And I hate W900s with roof boxes, so I wasn't going to put a roof box on it. So no extras, but, that stuff all opens. The doors, hinges are in slightly the wrong place. I am going to fix that at a later date. I haven't gotten around to it quite yet, because I've been working on a couple of other things. So that will be fixed at some point in time. But actually, if I just open those and then get out, you can see how the doors don't quite line up right. I know how to fix it, because actually originally they did line up, and then I had to move some stuff around to get the interior to work right, and then they stopped lining up properly. But, I figure it's usable for now, so it's not a big deal. The interior works mostly... Oh, it's working completely right now. when I was driving it around earlier, the tack wasn't working right. Now it has decided to actually work. Obviously the hands don't quite line up with the steering wheel. That's something else that I am planning on fixing later, at the same time I fix the doors. The problem is, the biff is much smaller than, you know, the semis in this game. Actually, if I spawn one real quick, you can see. So obviously this truck, you know, is going to be the same size as all the other semis that are already in the game, because it's on the Packard's frame. But if I spawn a biff real quick, you can see just how much smaller the cab and especially the hood is. You know, it's skinnier, it's shorter, everything. So I had to scale the cab up to fit on that frame. And without thinking about it, I scaled the steering wheel up too, so now the steering wheel doesn't quite line up. So like I said, that will be fixed, I just haven't gotten to it yet. But, you know, I don't feel like it's super noticeable. And, you know, if it really bothers you, you can always just, where is it? Do that. Then it's like you're playing ATS. I am also going to move the interior camera up. I actually meant to do that before recording this video, but I forgot. But anyway, I think that's about everything to show off this truck. There's not much else to it, you know. I might have something interesting lined up for version 2, but I'm not going to say anything about that yet because I don't know if it's going to happen. So, the other mod I've been working on that we'll be releasing about the same time that this video does, so it should be available to anyone who's watching this video, and of course it'll be linked in the description. Oh, yeah, I'm still invisible, hold on. I already forgot I did that, I don't know how. I've been working on making the trailers a bit more realistic. So I don't know why I put the Fame or Shame trailer at the end. Probably shouldn't have done that, but it's here, so let's talk about it. Obviously, I made it a proper drop deck. Because, you know, originally it just had that teeny tiny little drop. So now it is an actual drop deck with slightly smaller tires and everything. I did not change the interior collision, so apparently the texture doesn't quite line up right there. Okay, that's something to fix. This mod is not quite as far along, so there's more bugs with this mod. And I think I should take the time to mention right now, I'm not great at 3D modeling, and frankly, I don't have the interest in getting any better at it than I am. So I am going to try to fix some stuff, like the tires not touching the ground completely. And, you know, the texture's not lining up at the back, but for the most part, what you're seeing here is probably about what you're going to get. So we have the Fame or Shame drop deck. The flatbed, you can see I made a spread axle, and it's actually slightly longer. So this axle is the same place as it was on the original flatbed, and I just stretched the back out a little bit, as you can see by the textures on the frame. But aside from that, so all of the trailers got the side underride guards removed, because that's not a thing on American trailers yet, and the rear bumpers and the fenders removed, and the rear bumpers corrected to reflect real American semi-trailers. Most of them have mud flaps. The flatbed doesn't, because it didn't. It just had fenders. It didn't have mud flaps, and I just never went and put mud flaps on that. I'm probably going to. I just haven't gotten to that yet. The reefer trailer here, I noticeably... So, one of the other things that's very wrong about the trailers in this game is they're all designed with a body-on-frame design. and that is not accurate to American van trailers. Tank trailers have frames, flatbed trailers have frames, but van trailers do not, and I imagine that's probably true in Europe too, but I don't know as much about them. But on an American van trailer, the bit of metal there with where the reflective tape is actually the frame. But in GTA 5, they're actually built on frames that this sits on top of. So I just fixed that. And you can see the frame is actually still under there. I just lowered it to the point where it was the correct height above the tires and then called it a day. And you can see I actually lowered this one a little bit too much, so then I did this, which is actually sort of accurate. It's not usually quite this pronounced, but you will actually see a slight divot on a lot of American van trailers where the kingpin is. So that's what I did with that one. The container chassis, I removed the option for it to have a curtain cider body. Mostly just because curtain ciders are not very common in the US anymore. Actually, I don't know if they were ever very common in the US, but you hardly ever see them. There's only one company I know of that I see regularly pulling curtain ciders. And it's a small company that's based near where I live. So now it has the option of spawning with one of these 4 containers. So you have the 2 containers from the train cars, the container cars. So this one is supposed to be the Lando container. The decal texture for the side wasn't working right, so I just temporarily removed it so the container's just plain. But I'm planning on getting that fixed. I just don't know what's wrong with it at the moment. Obviously the derail container. That is the orange container off of the other container chassis. Because why not? And then the ThriftX container, which is the wrong shade of blue, and I am also planning on fixing that. And, obviously the ThriftX container is only a 20-footer, or... it's actually not exactly, if we're assuming that those are 40-foot like they're supposed to be, the small containers are actually slightly too long, but, it's meant to be a 20-footer. So this frame is technically slightly too long for it, but you do sometimes see 20-foot containers where they're being pulled with the tandems all the way completely out from under the container. And you can see here, this is how the flatbed was. Or this trailer was the same as the flatbed, where it didn't have mud flaps, it just had fenders. So, for the moment, and once again, I might change this, but for the moment, I just removed most of the fender and then left the back bit where the mud flap should be. So that's that. The log trailer basically got the same deal as the regular flatbed, except that I didn't spread axleify it. But, I took off the underride guards, I took off the fenders. This one actually did have mud flaps, and I forgot to remove the fender hangers, so those will probably be removed in a later version. And I fixed the rear bumper. I'm also going to make it so that it can spawn naturally without any logs on it. But I haven't actually done that yet, but that's not, a big thing. Because all the work that I've done so far is model-related. I haven't done anything coding-related, and making that spawn without the logs is coding-related. So, this is the triaxle flatbed trailer that you use in the mission mini-sub, when Trevor steals the mini-sub. It's basically identical to how it appears originally, except that I skinified it to be the same width as the other trailers. Because originally it's incredibly wide. And, it's widened to match the width of the mini-sub, but it actually still looks fine with the trailer this width. It just so happens that the very bottom of the pontoons, rest perfectly on the frame rail on either side. So it does still work within the mission. But, that's what I changed with that one, I just made it skinnier. I have not done anything with the tank trailer, and I'm probably not going to. I actually quite like the way the tank trailer looks. So that's probably going to stay the same. I just spawned one to point out that yeah, it's still just the same. Yeah, because I actually like the way the tank trailer looks now. The big goods trailer. To keep it being big goods, it is now a 53-footer. This is probably my favorite one to pull, and you'll actually see when you go to the Linerunner's mod page that one of the pictures has it pulling this trailer because 53-foot trailers are just cool. So it does still have the back door. I kind of wish I hadn't parked it where it is. I'll pull it out in a second so that I can open the door and you can see that the collisions inside are still good. You know, the door still works properly and everything. One thing I have not been able to test is making sure that the longer trailer doesn't screw up the finale to the subtle approach of the big score, because I don't have access to that mission. I don't have any saves where I did the subtle approach because I like the obvious approach more. This one was probably the most work. So originally, this was the same flatbed as the other triaxle over there, but it had the machine on it. So this is for the obvious approach of the big score, where you steal this tunnel bore machine. And yeah, I turned it into a lowboy. As you can see, the cutter is just about the correct height. So I also lowered the height of the big goods trailer. So the big goods trailer is now the same height as the reefer trailer. And as you can see, the top of the cutter machine just about lines up with that trailer. And this one, once again, I have no idea what's wrong with the wheels. I have not resized them. I have no clue why they're clipping to the ground. I tried to fix that and could not figure it out. So I'll probably end up playing around with it some more and try to figure it out before version 1.0 of this mod. But for the time being, it's just staying like that. It's not really super duper noticeable anyway. And I mean, the trailer only appears in one mission. I have not done anything with that yet, but I do have plans for the car carrier, and I'm actually very excited to start working on it. So, that, well, the version of the mod that you can download as of this video going out, I have not done anything with the car carrier. I will be making another video once I have modified the car carrier, just showing it off, because it'll probably be enough to be worth its own video. This trailer, this is the plane tanker that is used for a couple missions in online. I'm not going to do much to it, except for, this will be the one and only one that I'm going to mess with the liveries. I'm going to try to make it so that you can have it in all of the colors that the static version of it can spawn in. And then, the military tanker, I noticed, is still the old version of the tanker from the old gen consoles. So, this one, I might try to update to the newer version, too. The other reason I spawned these side by side like this is so you can see the difference. And I don't know how much work that'll end up being, so I might try to do that and then decide I don't feel like dealing with it. But for now I haven't touched it, because I didn't actually realize that this was the original trailer model. I didn't realize it hadn't been updated until I randomly went and pulled one a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, hey, this trailer's still the old version. I should do something about that. But I haven't yet, so that'll be coming, you know, the same time those other bug fixes and the car carrier update comes. So this is the other mod. Like I said, this is how far I've gotten at the moment. Let me pull that big goods trailer out so I can show you the door still working properly. Let's see. Customs, doors. Like I said, still opens. It is slightly steeper now since the trailer isn't as tall. That is just one unfortunate side effect, but, you know, I got the collisions working properly. So you can still use the trailer. You can actually fit 3 cars in here now. You know, not on top of each other. And one more thing I wanted to show with this trailer. First of all, the collisions should all be accurate. The collisions for the cutter. You know, everything works as it should. But the other thing is I made the cutter an extra. So if you're playing with a trainer, you can take it off, and then you have a lowboy to use. You know, you can put other machines on it. It is set up so that, at least as far as testing is shown, the cutter, it always spawns with the cutter on it. So if you're doing the mission where you steal the cutter, it'll always just have the cutter on it. And I actually have access to that mission on this end. Does this still work? Nah, you used to be able to push the door closed by doing that. Oops, wrong thing. So yeah, that's about it. I'm just going to drive down here, because on this save, I actually have the mission where you steal the cutter up. So, you know, I can just drive over there and show what it looks like in the context of the mission where it appears. I think the momentum is halting the trailer door closing. Oh, it's almost there. I have noticed that this trailer feels very floaty now. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I don't know if it's just because, like, stuff is able to get under the side since the underride guards aren't there. So, like, stuff hits the wheels and then it makes it bounce weird. I don't know. You know, for the most part, it works fine. Oops. See. So there you go.
What the fuck? Look out the way.
Ta-da.
Turn around on me.
So yeah, that's what I got for you. Thank you for watching. Like I said, both these mods will be linked in the description. By the time this video goes up, they should both be available to download as they've been shown in this video. And keep an eye on both of them, because, like I said, you know, I've got the big car carrier update for the trailer mod. But I also have a special plan for the truck mod that may or may not end up happening. I don't know yet. But until then, thank you for watching, and keep that hammer down, drivers.